Greetings, everyone, and welcome once again to Oberon's Outlook on Emotional Exchanges, a weekly forecast for the ups and downs in your emotional life, whether it regards your romance or just good feelings or bad feelings, things that are happening to you in the next week. These are for the week starting tomorrow or today, Friday, depending on when you're here, and that's the 20th of December. So, right away, we're going to start off with our air signs. This reading covers all the zodiac signs per their elemental associations. So we're starting with air signs, and these signs are signs like Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. So this reading is going to give an idea about what's going on for them in the next week ahead. So we're going to cut the cards and then pull our cards. Okay, so we have three cards, and they are the Fool, 0, and the Three of Swords, and the King of Pentacles, or Discs. So this is a heady set here. The Fool says that there's new ventures in the romantic area or in the emotional area. There are some decisions to make. There are some leaps into the unknown. And there's the possibility that maybe you don't exactly know which direction you're going, but you're just sort of adventuresome about this. But then you're also crossed, or not crossed, but you also have included with you is the Three of Swords. And this definitely indicates some situation involving strife or heartbreak. Maybe you will have news or have direct experience with a painful separation or a bad end to an emotional matter. And what's more is you also have the King of Discs, and this could be a person who maybe is an interloper in a relationship. Maybe there's somebody who bears false witness, so to speak, or maybe is an actual rival for affections, or maybe there's somebody that has a certain level of power in the emotional life of these air signs. Like maybe they are overbearing and materialistic in regards to helping resolve problems. So like they're a banker that's, or a financial person that's just not helpful with your emotional feeling there, you know. So that's what I'm sort of seeing the next week ahead is basically some heartache and anguish and new choices and whether or not to trust, a particular person that maybe is sitting there. So we're going to move on now quickly to our next signs, which are the fire signs, and those are signs like Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So this is what those emotional currents going on in their lives may be about for the next week ahead. And we do this on Fridays, if you're wondering, because Friday in classic mythology as well as astrology is ruled by the planet Venus. And Venus tends to do with all those things that are related to matters of love or romance or emotional matters in general. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. And we're cutting the deck. Looking at what's going on for our fire signs. So I'm drawing my three cards. And they are the Five of Coins. Once again, the King of Discs or coins, but this time they are reversed. And then also the reversed Ace of Cups. So right off the top, I'm thinking for the fire signs, those of us fire signs who have started a new relationship or are involved in a new area of pleasurable activities, you may find there are some delays here. Maybe there's an actual upset. Maybe the plans go awry and maybe the relationship or the situation is over before it begins. I'm only saying that because I'm also seeing the Five of Coins here, and this usually indicates some amount of sadness over circumstances. And sometimes the implication is also too that it's not as bad as it looks, but for some reason you fire signs aren't able to perceive what you still have left, and so you're kind of moaning or depressed over what you lost, but you're not realizing what you still have left. And it's not sure if this is the villain of the piece or if it's just how the fire signs are themselves acting. But there's a King of Discs reversed, and that sort of indicates an overbearing nature or problems financially. And a lot of times that is the problem with relationships or even emotional situations, is that when money's involved, arguments will usually ensue, and that may be providing a rough point in people dealings, things like that. So I'm wondering if maybe this King of Discs represents a kind of personality that was being left behind with the Ace of Cups, reversing a relationship or breaking up a relationship. And now that person maybe has bad feelings and bad karma or juju when they think about you. So we have to consider that too, that when we are leaving a situation behind and we're feeling heartache, that there is someone else who probably is feeling the heartache too. So it always takes two, and we should keep that in mind. So we're going to move on now to water signs, and those are signs like Cancer and Scorpio and Pisces. And so water signs themselves are held to be more emotional or involved in more emotional matters, or these seem to happen to them. So we're going to take a look. We're going to shuffle the cards, and we're going to take a look and see what is going on with the water signs for the next week ahead. So I'm about to go ahead and cut. And this is what I'm getting for our water signs. I'm drawing the 3 cards. And those cards are the reversed Queen of Coins, or discs in this suit. And then the upright Judgment. And then the upright 8 of Wands. And I'm going to start there and say that for water signs, it's a busy week. There's a lot of energy being expressed, and there's a lot of concern perhaps because people are feeling a higher vibration at this time of year. Maybe it's the solstice or Yule or Christmas or Hanukkah or some day that raises our vibrational level because of the thoughts that we experience with that. So I'm thinking that's the holidays there too. So there's a lot of activity and there's a lot of good times expressed with that. Still, there may be the possibility that some of us are going to feel that we're overwhelmed. That's the Queen of Coins here. And that we're feeling like maybe we're not fully capable of expressing ourselves. We're holding back a little bit because the season is overwhelming, and so we're just not as productive. Normally we're feeling like we can just handle anything, and we're a little bit reserved. Maybe we're needing to rest. And it is really busy, and it's a lot of work during the holidays. So all of those ups and downs that are attached to emotional gatherings of people and situations, sending out cards, getting in touch with people. Don't overwhelm yourself, water signs, because you tend to be anyway, you tend to be intense signs, some of you. So just try to keep it all real. So now at last we're going to move on to our final sign, the earth signs. And those are signs like Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn. And they tend to be more sturdy and practical and more determined and possibly stubborn. So this is the emotional outlook for you earth signs. This is what's happening in the week ahead. I'm going to go ahead and cut those cards now so we can determine what kind of week you will have in your emotional life. And we're cutting those cards. Okay, very interesting. And we have the reversed 8 of Swords. And then we have the reversed Hanged Man. And then we have the Empress upright. So I'm going to start with the Empress. And the Empress seems to indicate that in this week ahead is a productive week for you, and that you will be feeling a lot of strong energy, and you will be feeling with the world, and you will feel that the world is with you and that there's almost nothing you can't do. But some things that will bring you to reality is that you will feel a little bit coming out of a situation where maybe you felt entrapped, and now you're feeling like you can make some decisions, or you can find some movement and move ahead on your own. But you feel that to reach this area, there was something you gave up, or there was something that you let go in your life, and you're going to be pondering whether that sacrifice or that thing that you gave up was worth it or not. But that's the meaning of sacrifice, is that if we really feel we are making a sacrifice, we are doing it for something better. And it may be that what we are sacrificing is our will to be this forceful personality. The Empress is, maybe we're giving up on that, or we're letting that go temporarily, in order to find our movement. It's a tricky situation. I think Earth signs this next week are possibly looking at being arbitrators of other people's problems, pretty much. And so you may be called upon as some sort of voice of reasonableness to help other people with their emotional problems. And I think you'll do okay, but you will feel that you're not really being listened to for what's going on in your life. And it's just not your time. You're just going to be the voice of wisdom next week and help other people. So that's what I see there with that. And for you regular viewers of Oberon's Outlook on Emotional Exchanges, I have decided to add a new feature, which is that I'm going to also pull, probably at the end of the readings, a simple one card for each of those elemental associations. And I'm using a special deck that takes the tarot and just puts a simple word for each card. And so I'm going to give you a word for the week. And the word is to help you consider emotional flow for yourself. So first we're going to do the air signs once again. We're just going to go through the same pattern that we did. And you know what? Because we're doing them all in a row, I'm just going to lay them all out together. So these are the words of the week. The words of the week for each of the elemental associations. Very good. So for air signs, the word of the week is consummation. And of course, consummation can mean a lot of different things. It could mean the actual things that relate to emotional life, the consummation of a relationship. But it could mean the consummation of other things. It could mean the end of something or the completion of something. So think about that. What is it you're going to complete, or you're going to find some fulfillment or purpose or role ending in the week ahead? So now we're going to pull the card, or tell the card, for fire signs, and that is the word testimony. That's an odd word, testimony, but I guess as I'm looking at, that's relating to the qualities of truthfulness, and so that narrative and honesty are implied there too. And so I'm thinking that for fire signs, we need to think about that, what our words mean, what we say, because testimonies are a document or a recording or a remembering of something that should be factual and important. So remember, when you are called to speak honestly and with a thought towards what the record will be. So now we're going to move on to water signs and their word for the week. Oh, and this is so appropriate for water signs. I even see a little Scorpio down there. This card's word is the unforeseen. And so For water signs, you want to think about what are the mystical and mysterious things going on in this week that we want to think about. You know, sometimes when we are near solstices or equinoxes or just certain high holy days, there is a mystical quietness that ensues. And so maybe our water signs are going to get a glimmer of that that's a little different from what others might experience. So think about that for this week ahead. And then finally, with the earth signs, their week ahead, their word of the week is confusion. And remember what I said about being called upon to arbitrate other emotional upsets. This may leave you confused. This may make you feel like, you know, why am I always asked to help people with their situations and relationships? And why doesn't anyone possibly, you know, care about mine? You know, and you may have to think about that. It's like maybe you make yourself too available. And so maybe you have to consider what it is about you that people see where they feel that you are that kind of person for them, and how you want to gather in, because maybe in the process of gathering in, that's where the confusion lies. So you have to think about that. At any rate, this is Oberon's Outlook emotional exchanges for the week ahead, beginning Friday, December 20th, and going to next Thursday, which is the 27th. So we hope everybody has a good week. We hope everybody has a good holiday, and we will see you again next week.